People who work in HR, what's the wildest thing you've discovered that led to a firing in the course of your career? I heard a story of a guy using an unmarked company car to run Uber Eats and DoorDash all day. He got away with it for a couple years. He finally got caught because he was using his work phone for Uber and his data was astronomically higher than anyone else in the company. If he had just used his personal phone, he probably could still be going. It came to my attention, after a few times, that a woman would stay in a restroom stall and take all the toilet paper off the rolls by just unraveling it, and she was seen putting what she had rolled up and put it in her locker a few times. She claimed she was too poor for women's hygiene products, so she was told that they are provided and there was no need for her to use that much toilet paper for that. Hoped that was the end of it. It started again and she claimed this time it was for wounds and she couldn't afford gauze and wound dressings. Okay, so we just told her again she could use what was in the first aid kits. Management wanted to be gentle. So it starts up again and she confessed she just liked stealing things and this was easy. She was termed after that one. We had an administrator that was in charge of the program that oversaw the entire operations of the two company jets. She would regularly schedule and fly her kids to visit their grandparents 5 states away. One of the pilots filed a complaint for misuse of the company jets. Guess who they fired? The pilot, for not keeping his mouth shut. We had an employee who would clock in at the time clock every day and then go home. They'd come back to clock out for lunch and back in after an hour. Then come back at the end of the day. It was impressive how long it took a manager to catch on. So, I used to work at a software company and we kept getting complaints about a nap room being cluttered and trash from the nearby break room being left around in the mornings, so we asked security to do some late evening walk-bys to see what was going on. One evening, they found a young Asian woman hiding in the nap room. She didn't work there and she didn't speak English. It was super weird. It turns out, one of the software engineers who worked in the building had purchased a mail-order bride. But here's the kicker, he was already married. So, unable to bring his new mail-order bride home, he kept her at the office. No idea where she hid during the day, but at night she made good use of our little nap room. Gotta feel bad for that poor woman. I did some repair work in a food production facility. One of the employees there told me a funny story about a guy that got fired. This guy would come in every day, clock in, do a little work, then disappear. It took a while for anyone to realize he was not working as this is a big facility, but no one could figure out where he was going. He wasn't leaving the building either. This apparently was a mystery for a while. Finally it was discovered he had somehow got his hands on a copy of the elevator service key, and he was running the elevator up part way, stopping it, opening the doors, and climbing into the space below the elevator car. Elevators have a crawl space below them for maintenance. He apparently slept down there and then came out before the end of his shift, did a little work like nothing was wrong, then went home. My wife is in HR. She recently had to handle the firing of an employee because a federal background check revealed that he was some kind of local drug kingpin with an active court case. What's insane is that he was also working this low-wage service industry job. A guy got caught smoking weed in the bathroom. He only got fired because he had it on premises. If he would have said I'm taking a quick break or just disappeared to his car for 2 minutes, took a few hits, and came back inside he would have been fine. Was there 4/20 years up to that point. We had a very nice HR lady who absolutely spoiled one of the employees, in a wholesome way. He was a young immigrant boy who desperately needed a job, about 15 years old. So she'd go out of her way to give him rides, encourage management to give him raises, and even made him homemade meals. She eventually found out he was stealing all of their customers' credit card information and running them all out dry, which is why we had been receiving so many criminal reports regarding our company. Not only this, but he would flat out steal their purses and wallets while they were there. I'm talking hundreds of thousands mysteriously missing from our customers in a matter of a few months. It absolutely broke her heart when she had to fire him and report him to the police. He was immediately arrested for a large number of crimes and deported. Not in HR, but there was a story at my company that a guy bought a car on the company card and obviously got fired. Seriously, how do you think you're gonna get away with that? 1. Worker kept pooping in a trash can. First offense was a slap on the wrist. It could have been a badly timed or unexpected bowel movement. Second offense was let go. 2. Guy called himself Shadow Wolf and liked to sneak up on women and just stand there. Nope, let go. 3. Soldier took lots of drugs while in charge of a large vessel, albeit docked for the night. Initiated proceedings to separate but was stopped by his father, a high-ranking officer. 4. Lots of people sleeping in different places, behind false walls inside of a trailer, up in elevated forklifts, inside lockers, etc. 5. Woman actively cheating on her husband in an office setting with a coworker. Didn't try to hide it. Other women began to talk about her, so she logged into one of their computers and sent out nastygrams posing as them. Fired. We had a guy with a company car for traveling to client sites, but we didn't care too much if he used it for personal reasons. It's more pain to keep track than it's worth. Somehow, he was still submitting expense reports for commuting expenses. Turns out, he has been taking taxis/Ubers to client sites while his wife was using the company car as an Uber driver. It was pretty bizarre. I worked at a recruiting agency. Had a candidate with an interview lined up. Big biker machinist. Couldn't get a hold of him to set it up. Finally got a hold of his girlfriend. She had kicked him out. She informed us he got fired from his previous job because he threw his boss into a dumpster. Like WWF style. I was envious but still put him on the do not call list. I knew a guy who worked in a call center who, instead of using one of his 2 15-minute breaks to use the restroom, would pee directly into a potted plant while live on a call with a caller. He only got caught when during the day, the smell of piss would loft around the office. Another guy who worked 8 years at the company already, took a cup from the community kitchen home and was canned for stealing company property. Turns out it was his own cup and he was offered his job back, but he turned it down. My mom works at a local hospital in HR and she told me this doozy a while back. They had an employee that worked in the maintenance department and also happened to be dating a nurse from that hospital. The employee and the nurse broke things off and the guy had nowhere to live and access to the whole hospital and off-site buildings. He continued to do his job but was living there during his off time. People would report a laptop and blanket and pillow and sleeping setup where there shouldn't be someone sleeping. It was in supply closets or in used offices. Nothing was ever said to him about it, but they had to fire him when the local police had to arrest him during his shift in front of everyone because the ex-GF accused him of stealing her stuff. Weeks later when he came back asking for his stuff, did they know for certain it was him living on the property. My mom said he was a nice guy, but it was a really awkward situation. Not HR, but I'm sure the issue would become part of HR training. Just before I started at a previous job, they had a guy die from an overdose while on the phone via headset with a customer. Years and years ago, one of our employees was kidnapped on site. Canadian employee kidnapped in Mexico and we had to pay $10,000 to get him back. Not like bag over the head in a cellar, but still scary.